So picking up where we left off, I had just simplified the bracket to give me 14x plus 1. And I was going to put this together to solve for x. So continuing with this, I'm going to multiply in the 2 distributive property, multiply the 2 into the bracket. And that's going to give me 28x plus 2 is equal to 58. To get the 28x by itself, I'm going to subtract both sides by the constant, negative 2. And that's going to give me 28 is equal to 56, which hopefully you guys recognize that that's going to work out evenly when you divide both sides. Oh, sorry, that was 28x. Don't forget that. And that's going to get me divide by 28, divide by 28. Let me slide that up a little bit. And so x is going to be equal to 2. Now that I know that x is equal to 2, I can actually replace that in and find out what the values are. Those 2 and replace it in to these sides of the rectangle to my shape here. And so 2 times x, I'm going to replace all these values with 2. I'll put this in big bold lettering so you can see it a little more clearly. So this is going to be 2 times 2 on the side. This is going to be 10 times 2. That's going to be 4 times 2 plus 1. On the top, it's going to be times 2. And on the side here, the 2x plus 1, I'll write this beside without messing up my work. 2 times 2 plus 1. And the 6x here would be 6 times 2. So that each of these lengths now are going to be predetermined values. The 4 times 2 is going to give me 8. The 4 times 2 plus 1 is going to give me 9. So you can see it's not really drawn to scale. I'm going to have 20 along the bottom. It's going to be 12 across the other side. The 2 times 2 on the side here is going to be a length of 4. And my vertical up here, 2 times 2 plus 1 is going to be equal to 5. Now we can double check that the 4 plus the 5 is going to equal the 9. And I can also check the horizontals. The 20 is equal to this 12 plus this 8. So all these numbers are working out properly. So I found the dimensions of the shape that was required. And now, you can just barely see that on the top, I need to find the area of this shape. The area of this shape means that I'm going to have to split it into 2 sections again. And I'll go along the horizontal like I did last time. I know it's a little bit confusing with all these numbers, but in this rectangle at the top, it's going to be 5 times 8 or 8 times 5. So the area is going to equal to 40. And along the bottom rectangle here, let's pay attention, the 20 times the 4 is going to equal to 80. And so the total area is equal to 80 square units, and we were talking in this question about meters, so 80 square meters. Let's just pause for a second. The next page is talking about questions where you have to actually draw the diagram yourself. So what I did was I reset this or started them up, and it comes down to recognizing, first of all, it's a rectangle. We're going to ignore the 28 centimeter perimeter at this point and look at the phrase, the length is 2 centimeters more than twice the width. Every time we see a statement like this, you're going to make the variable represent whatever they're comparing it to. So in other words, I'm comparing the length to the width. And so I'm going to make the width be equal to x. So I can describe the length using the x. And it says the length is 2 centimeters more than, so that means I'm going to add 2 to whatever it is, twice the width. So here's twice the width, and that's 2 more than twice the width. So that's going to represent my length. We're going to see this in the next 3 problems. Now that I have those definitions or descriptions for those 2 side lengths, now I can use the idea of perimeter and the fact that I know that it's 28. So the perimeter is going to be equal to the perimeter. which simply means I'm going to find two different ways for describing the perimeter. The first of which is going to be 2 times the width and 2 times the length, which would be 2 times x plus 2 times 2x plus 12. Plus 2. And that's got to be equal to the perimeter, which I'm just telling you now is 28. Just as before, we're going to simplify the side with the variables first before we start trying to eliminate terms. So that's going to give me 2x plus 4x plus 4 equals 28. And the 4x and the 2x are going to add together to give me 6x. Now I can start talking about solving the equation by the two-step requirement. So I take negative 4 here and negative 4 there to get the 6x by itself. Now, sometimes you're going to be doing work and you're going to run out of space like this. Generally, the strategy is to put an arrow going up to the next space on your page. And sometimes you're going to recopy it. I prefer to recopy it so that I don't lose track of what I'm doing. And write the final couple of steps. So in this case, dividing by 6, getting x is equal to 4. Now the good part about this question is it didn't ask anything more than finding out what the dimensions are. Dimensions just refers to the length and the width. So when I replace in x is equal to 4, that's going to be my width. And when I replace in 2 times 4 plus 2, that's going to be my length, which is going to be 8 plus 2, which is 10. Centimeters, centimeters. So the dimensions are going to be 4 centimeter by 10 centimeter. Using exactly the same concept, it's a matter of translate this idea of the length. This is the question B. The length is 1 centimeter less than 5 times the width. So here's 5 times the width, and that's 1 centimeter less than it. Okay? And just like before, we're talking about the perimeter. So the perimeter of this triangle is 2 times x plus 2 times 5x minus 1. And that's got to equal to 42, my perimeter. Expand the brackets. Remember, with this first one, I only have one thing to multiply, so I really don't need to draw the arc, and I kind of could get away without putting the brackets. But I'm trying to stick with the same routine all of the time. So that's going to be 10x minus 2 when I multiply the 2 times the negative 1. I'm going to clean up the left side and get 12x minus 2. And then I'm going to add 2 to both sides so that I can get rid of the constant term, get the 12x by itself. Now the problem with this question is it doesn't work out evenly. And that's kind of why the algebra is necessary, because there's no way you were going to guess and check your way to the answer that we see here. So working that out, I put the, again, the answer up here, dividing both sides by 12. Well, no problem on the left, because we know that's going to happen. But the 44 out of 12 is not going to be a good value, and I don't want you to change it to a decimal because it would be repeating. And so I'm just going to reduce this by dividing the top and the bottom by 4, which gives me 11 over 3. Don't go and change 3 2/3 or 3.66666 forever. It's not going to be helpful to us. So the x here, the vertical, is 11 over 3 centimeters. And the 5x minus 1 is going to be 5 times 11 over 3 minus 1. And just to make things go a little bit faster here, 55 over 3 minus 3 over 3 is going to be 52 over 3. I had to get a common denominator to put those pieces together. The area is what they're asking you to find this time. So you're going to do base times height. 52 over 3 times 11 over 3. The area is equal to 52 over 3 times 11 over 3. And not a very nice answer. I really wish I hadn't given the question this difficult right away, but it still follows exactly all the rules we know. The 3 times the 3 gives me 9. On the top, a little bit trickier, okay, for that multiplication, which I would do on the side rather than mess up the calculation here. And that's going to be 52 and 52, giving us the 572. 2. and the area is measured in square centimeters. The last question, 3 meters less than 3 times the width. So this is 3 meters less than 3 times the width. And again, the width is given as the letter x. And I'm told that the perimeter is 36. So I'm going to try and make things a little bit tighter here so I don't have to use those arrows. 2 times x plus 2 times 3x minus 3 equals 36. 2x plus 6x minus 6 equals 36. 8x minus 6 equals 36. It's very repetitious, but hopefully you guys are all getting the routine down here where you're finding out how to isolate the variable term, which I just did. And then dividing by the coefficient to get the variable completely on its own. Again, it doesn't work out evenly, so I'm going to write this in simplified form by dividing the top and the bottom by 2, 21 over 4. And yeah, that's equal to 5.25, but we don't want to use that for this example. We're just sticking with the fractional version because we know that's going to be exact. So I replace that 21 over 4, and I replace it here, 21 over 4, and I can figure out what that's going to be equal to. We'll take the steps here. That's going, don't go, like, this is not a mixed fraction. This is a number times a fraction. So that's going to be 63 over 4 minus, and this 3 over 1, I'm going to rewrite as 12 over 1. And that's going to be equal to 51 over 4 for my final length, 51 over 4. And it asked me for the area of this rectangle. So that's going to be area equals 21 over 4 times 51 over 4. I shouldn't be writing the times symbol for these things. I should really put the dot. And that's going to be equal to 16 on the bottom and whatever 21 times 51 is. Put the smaller number on the bottom. 102.1701.071 divided by 16 or over 16 for my calculation. Units in square meters. The last couple of questions here, finding missing dimensions. Shapes are not drawn to scale. Remind yourselves of that. And we don't have enough information to do these questions. There's information missing. So we'll have to just sort of see that one later next week.